Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sports with Mono and Mono. It's December 4th, 2021. And first and foremost, I'd like to welcome you to our first live broadcast. Our producer, Rob, is behind the curtain here. And check out the show on blackjacktv.com going forward. And
.net.
.net, I'm sorry, you're right. And thanks for joining us. I'm here with my partner, Steve.
Welcome everybody to the show. And again, this is we kind of been dropping a seed for the last month or so.
The big announcement.
The big announcement. Well, the big announcement's here, and we can't thank Rob enough. Rob, we met a couple months ago, and here we are doing our first show. That you could actually see our faces, and
which may break some hearts out there because the voices may not match the mugs, but. How do I look? What am I going to wear today?
Right.
But thanks for joining us, and we're real happy to be here. We got a lot of sports to talk about, and we're very excited about the next step for the show.
Absolutely. So as we always do, each of us trade off a monologue week by week.
We do,
and I believe you're up with your monologue this week.
I do. Thank you, partner Steve. So my monologue this week is Brian Kelly, and I know that shouldn't come as a big surprise to a lot of people, but it is. I sent a text when I first heard it on Monday to my partner Steve, and he said this was shocking, and it was shocking to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, Brian Kelly, and I know people know that I wasn't a big fan of his for a while, but this was shocking for a couple of reasons. He left a lot of guys just hanging in the balance, recruits and so forth. And you know what? He decided he's taking the LSU job. And I guess my initial thought was, wait a minute. You make $50 million at Notre Dame, $95 million. So the first thing I thought of was from a classic movie clip, Bud Fox saying to Gordon Gekko, how many yachts can you water ski behind, Gordon? So what meant more? Because I remember when Brian Kelly took the job from Cincinnati, he said, this is the dream job. And I still believe that. Notre Dame is the preeminent job in college football. And he decided he's going to go to LSU. But you know what? That's his decision. I don't begrudge anybody. If this is literally his dream job, well, good luck, Brian Kelly, because you're going to play in the SEC week after week after week.
Right.
But it has a lot to do with recruiting and so forth. And I think Notre Dame made a great move by hiring Marcus Freeman to take over this role. But the timing and the way that Brian Kelly left the University of Notre Dame is deplorable. I mean, he just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, he became the all-time winningest coach. But I got to tell you, this is big. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the coaching carousel, which we've talked about on the past couple of shows. But Brian Kelly, good luck and enjoy your $95 million.
He's going to need it.
Steve, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Brian Kelly thing?
Well, for the audience, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, always have been.
We both are.
We both are. The news was stunning, I must say. Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director of Notre Dame, maybe 2 days after the move, said he's not surprised by it. He kind of read the tea leaves a bit from Kelly. But listen, Kelly's been there for 12 years. Notre Dame obviously is right there with the preeminent jobs in college football.
No national championships.
There are only a handful of schools that you make this move. LSU is one of them. Okay? But what sticks in my craw, and I've been a Brian Kelly fan, but the way this went down, it's just the way college football is. I mean, these guys are snake oil salesmen.
And if Brian Kelly wants us to believe that he said his dream job was LSU, don't buy it. Because you know what? My thought was in college football, Notre Dame and Alabama are the two top teams that you would want to coach if you're a coach in college football.
His dream job is making $100 million. It's that simple.
Well, but that's clearly evident now, which is shocking. But LSU and Clemson, these are great jobs. And let's move into our, college football thing, the Lincoln Riley thing.
Right.
It happened as well.
But let me just finish Brian Kelly real quick. What really stuck in my craw, if you will, is one of the Notre Dame assistant coaches is literally at one of the recruits' house. The news comes down, and you know what the guy's telling them in the living room, and mom's baking the apple pie and the macaroni and cheese.
Now we'll take care of your son for
exactly.
the next 4 years.
But then the guy goes to the driveway, and that's when the news breaks. Okay, so it's not the first time it happens, but it makes me sick. And it's kind of started with like the Bobby Petrinos and the Jimbo Fishers, but there's no good time. So when this move happens, it has to happen swiftly. Okay. Kelly gets on a plane, goes to LSU, gets the deal done. And I don't think he was coming back until somebody got in his ear and said, you know what, you better get your ass back on an airplane and go face those kids.
Yeah.
And it was
exactly right.
And it was an awkward 9 minutes. I mean, there's a video out there of it.
Yep.
But Brian Kelly had to do that. He's gone back to Marcus Freeman, 35-year-old kid, defensive guru. Notre Dame's defense has been great all year.
Former Ohio State Buckeye
right.
linebacker.
Luke Fickell was a name mentioned, but Luke Fickell is not leaving Cincinnati tomorrow, right? Because it would take a month. So especially if Cincinnati makes the playoff, we're talking he's got to stick around for a month. And Tommy Rees, to his credit, ex-Notre Dame quarterback, offensive coordinator.
Who took a beating from Brian Kelly as a quarterback.
But Tommy Rees said, you know what, Brian? My heart's at Notre Dame. Tommy Rees is staying in place. I think Marcus Freeman obviously will be the head coach for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep.
If he does a great job, I see Tommy Rees taking this program over because he's 29 years old at some point, okay? And the other news about this is Notre Dame doesn't have to go out and hire a $100 million coach. They don't have to get Nick Saban, a Jimbo Fisher, or whoever's hot at the moment. Okay, so Notre Dame, I think this is a good move after after all the minutia what happened this week. But good luck, Brian Kelly at LSU.
Yeah.
He's going to have all everything at his disposal. But for some reason, I just don't see Brian Kelly in LSU.
I agree. That's exactly
the culture.
my point. That's right.
So good luck. And
but here's the thing with the timing of it all. I mean, they're still in the mix. There's still a possibility that these guys could make it, depending on the results of today's football games and so forth.
I mean, right now, as we're going live, Baylor is up on Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma State loses, the big winner is going to be Cincinnati. And obviously, Cincinnati has to beat Houston. If that happens, Cincinnati is going to be one of the 4 teams in the playoff.
Yep.
Hey guys, real quick, we have our first question from the audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to know what's the elf's name?
It's Christmas time.
It's the elf on the shelf. He may be over here next week. He may be over there next week.
If that was Brian Kelly, he'd have an LSU helmet on.
Right, exactly. Or Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
You were alluding to the other big news was Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
And I think the difference with Lincoln Riley's move as opposed to Kelly is Lincoln Riley's a young coach. He's really built a great resume, but it's USC. He's married. I think he's got 2 daughters. Right, they're young. Come on. I mean, he's getting everything on the planet.
But here's
USC is one of the top 5 jobs.
And exactly. That one I don't have as much a problem with as leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU.
And already Oklahoma's losing these recruits to Lincoln Riley. The number 2 rated quarterback in the country, Malachi Nelson, is already committed.
That's right.
But he's going to have a field day.
And there were 2 other Oklahoma commits that are following him to USC. So I could see that more because USC is, but it's not Notre Dame. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but you watch Notre Dame every week, don't you? Whether you like them or hate them, Notre Dame was the number one job, and he left
once
it.
Again, huge Notre Dame fan. But Notre Dame's not going to win the national championship. They're just not. We've seen it against Alabama. Bigger, faster, stronger, okay? See, Alabama and the Ohio States, and the LSUs, and now the Lincoln Rileys at USC and Oklahoma, they get the top-tier talent.
Yep.
Notre Dame gets top-tier talent, but the recruit that they'll get is ranked 122nd in the country as opposed to Saban having the number 1
I
class.
disagree because I want to bring this.
I'm telling you
this point. There was a St. Joe's running back, who decided he was going to Michigan State, and then Notre Dame came calling. Right, Audric Estime. But he said, you know what? If I'm going to play somewhere, it's going to be Notre Dame. So Brian Kelly's leaving. Listen, we don't dismiss that LSU is a powerhouse, and there's just a plethora of recruits down there. But I just don't see him connecting, especially with his fake, Southern accent, in the gymnasium, welcoming himself to LSU.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Kelly does very well there, but I'm not rooting for him now. I'm not.
Okay.
Right? And let me finish real quick on Kelly. I know we're spending a lot of time on this. There was a story out this week. So when Kelly was the head coach at Grand Valley State in it's like in Michigan or something, and Robert Saleh, the new head coach of the Jets, and his Matt LaFleur, who's head coach of the Packers, were graduate assistants for Kelly.
Yep.
So Kelly has a party at his house one night, and these guys are living, these guys are living on $7 a week.
Robert Saleh said this was taken out of context.
I know, but starving to death, and they couldn't wait to go to Kelly's house.
Shoveling his driveway.
Kelly keeps them outside, parking cars, shoveling driveways, and let's just say it wasn't a good look for Brian Kelly. It was piling on, I think, probably taken out of context. But that's it on the Kelly.
Well, listen,
it's over with.
Listen, our first segment is sponsored by Coriano Trucking, week after week, loyal supporter of the show. Right. And to Coriano Trucking from Summerhill, New York. This is our first live broadcast. So
thank you, Guy.
Thank you very much. I gotta say one thing. We're talking about college football. That Bob Stoops stepping in to be the interim coach of Oklahoma. This guy's a rock solid guy. I love it. I love it.
Bob Stoops is Oklahoma in and out. I mean, he's sitting on his couch.
Yep.
For a month just to get the boys through and get Oklahoma's out of the playoff race now.
Yeah.
But they'll be in a good bowl game. I don't know who the next head coach of Oklahoma is going to be right now.
No, we can't.
You know what? You know who it very well may be is Mark Stoops, his brother, who's at Kentucky.
You brought that up.
Yeah,
that's possible.
That's my guess.
But listen, this is a big day in college football.
Huge.
Alabama, Georgia. I mean, you got.
So let's talk about that game real quick.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
I don't bet against Nick Saban, no matter what is going on.
Okay.
So I'm going with Alabama today. I'll take the 6.5.
Alabama has no shot today against Georgia.
Wow.
But listen, if Alabama does score points and Bryce Young has the game of his life, Bryce Young is going to win the Heisman Trophy. But Georgia is just so dominant.
Their defense is dominant.
Yeah, and Alabama can't block.
I just don't know that they could put up enough points to come back.
I think this is a game where Georgia just steamrolls Alabama.
Yep.
So Alabama will have 2 losses, and I think Alabama drops out of the 4.
Okay, so how about this? The Big Ten championship game, Michigan. And listen, first of all, we got to talk about the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah, we both took it on the chin.
We did.
But I stand by my analysis of last week. Until Michigan could prove they could beat Ohio State, I'm taking Ohio State every week, especially with Ryan Day we talked about.
And I'm surprised you don't feel the same way about Alabama, though.
But listen, Michigan is playing Iowa in the Big Ten championship. This is not Michigan's favored. They should be favored.
They'll win today.
They should win.
They will.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa wins.
They will not win. Michigan will win the game today and move on into the final.
I'm going to take Michigan, but again, I wouldn't be surprised.
And one other game that's a big note of in the final, college football thing is Cincinnati and Houston.
Yeah. And Houston's no joke. Dana Horgeson, former head coach at West Virginia, moved to Houston. I think his 2nd or 3rd year down there.
Yep.
Houston got off to a little rocky start. I think they lost maybe their first game, or they were 1-1. They've reeled off like 9-10.
Yeah.
They score a lot of points.
I like Cincinnati today.
I got to think Cincinnati with everything at stake for them wins the game, and I think most of the nation is rooting for Cincinnati to be in that top 4. It's a feel-good story.
Yeah,
and they'll be the first, non-power conference team to break through. So
listen,
I'm rooting for Cincinnati.
And listen,
and I like football.
College football is huge today, so sit back and enjoy it because we love it.
Yep.
Before we move off, real quick about Billy Napier taking the Florida job, right? So there's a lot of movement in college football coaching,
Right.
but obviously the Kelly and Riley thing.
Yeah, Billy Napier is a good fit for Florida.
Yes.
And I mentioned last week that, despite Oregon getting their asses handed to them by Utah,
Yeah, they got beat up last
again.
night.
I mean, Utah beat them a couple weeks ago, 38-7, and did it again. So Utah is going to go to their first Rose Bowl. Utah's lost in the Pac-12 championship game 3 times prior. Mario Cristobal, I think Miami is sniffing him, and don't be surprised.
Well,
if
Oregon
that
State
goes.
offered him an extension today to keep him there, but you and I both agreed. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It sounds logical that Cristobal goes to Miami, but that hasn't happened.
Right.
So.
But I'm not sure if they're going to fire Manny Diaz. I'm not sure.
I don't listen.
But if Oregon is offering this money and Miami wants Cristobal, then the bidding war begins. And I think if the money's right for Miami, Mario goes home. And listen, he's a very good recruiter, and he was a great offensive lineman for the championship currency.
He was great.
He was a beast, Stanley.
Well, listen, thanks. College football, let's move on to the professional ranks.
The professional ranks. Let's do that.
Your Dallas Cowboys, Steve. No secret, he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, well,
Took it to the New Orleans Saints. Taysom Hill, really, he's not a starting quarterback in this league. He's a good player, very athletic, but not a starting quarterback.
He's a backup quarterback. Taysom Hill, obviously, what does he do? He runs 4 interceptions. Thank you.
But your guy Dak had the game that we'd expected him to have.
Well, Dak managed the game. It wasn't one of those 400 plus passing yards.
Yep.
Again, I say in the show multiple times, Amari Cooper. I don't understand the rap that he gets.
Okay, he made a couple of catches finally. For
he makes a couple catches every week and
but
scores
they pay him
touchdowns.
$20 million a year to make 3 catches?
I think Amari Cooper has so much help to CD Lamb's progress.
CD Lamb is the focus of that offense right now, not Amari Cooper.
But the Cowboys obviously went through a bad little stretch here, 8-4.
Yeah.
If we can get everybody healthy, they can make noise in the NFC.
Okay.
I think they're the most well-rounded team right now.
But here's the team I think is really starting to show, what kind of talent. This Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they're looking really, really good.
Really?
I don't know what to say.
Oh.
Outside of the Patriots and Mac Jones, who's really, really impressed me with the way he's taken over that team. What do you think? You take Rodgers with his broken toe or in his COVID mask?
I got to tell you, Aaron Rodgers appeared on I think he does a weekly segment on the Pat McAfee show.
He does.
Right. But Rodgers has a toe issue,
Yep.
And he had his foot, a bare foot, for the camera. And Rodgers made a really, in my opinion, a funny play referencing the Rex Ryan. And Rex Ryan.
Why even bring Rex up in this discussion?
Because of the foot fetish.
Of course.
When Rex was head coach of the Jets. Remember the
the
foot fetish story?
I do.
So I thought it was a great dig at Rex Ryan because to me, Rex Ryan is such a blowhard on TV.
Exactly.
And, we're not Rex guys, put it that way.
And
if you got a problem, Rex, you know where to find us.
Right. Like Robert Saleh. Like you would want to meet Robert Saleh behind
I'll take Saleh.
In a second, I'd take him.
But the Cowboys, again, the Saints are reeling 5 in a row now.
Yep.
They're toast. Kamara's hurt.
But
they got to find a quarterback in the future.
But the Packers and the Bucks, that's the one of the 2 teams that are going, not the Cowboys.
But how about this? The Saints are reeling. Payton has been there a long time.
The Saints aren't going to be there.
How about Sean Payton to the New York Football Giants in the offseason? Once Gettleman gets fired.
Well, we know Gettleman's going.
I'm not saying it's happening. I'm throwing it out there, folks. That is a logical landing spot.
I would take Sean Payton over Joe Judge any second of the day.
I think the Giants would have no choice.
I think they're going to.
Payton wants out. The Giants is a destination.
I think Gettleman goes and Judge stays one more year, and then till a new general manager stays. So.
The new general manager is not keeping Joe Judge. He's going to bring in his guy.
Well, it's not a foregone conclusion that Gettleman's going, to be quite honest.
To be fair, it's not. But reading the tea leaves,
okay.
I think Gettleman's gone.
And listen, the Giants, by the way,
Look at the Giants' record. It's
okay.
awful.
They're 4-7. They're one game out of a
I'm
playoff
talking the
spot.
last 3-4 years. It's awful. This is New York. This is the Giants. But Mara and Tish are getting crucified as the owners.
I get it, but they're used
And
to
your
it.
boy Daniel Jones.
Okay, he's got
You're
a neck
still
injury.
all in?
I am. I'm
Got it.
all in on Daniel Jones. I like him. I think he's the future of this franchise. And
folks, who's been listening to the show, you know where I stand on Daniel Jones. I don't dislike the kid. There's a lot of good qualities about him. But I'm not paying Daniel Jones $40 million to be my franchise.
Okay, well, here's the alternative. You
7
start
years.
over from scratch and get a possibly a Zach Wilson who's not panning out like we had hoped. But I think this kid's a player. I like him.
Draft Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. Something.
Okay, there's 100 quarterbacks that you could say could take the place of Daniel Jones. I like the kid. I think he's good.
There's
He's got
100
guts. He's got
quarterbacks
talent. I
that
like
can
him.
take the place of your boy Daniel Jones. Did you just say that?
No, I'm saying no. There are 100 people that would want to take the place of Daniel Jones. This kid is a player. I like him. I'm sticking with him.
I'm not. He's not my franchise quarterback.
Okay.
And I like the kid. Good luck. Somebody will sign him. And listen, in his defense, if Daniel Jones gets a good head coach and a good sound system, I think he can thrive. But the way the Giants are made up, no chance.
Right, but you think he could thrive because he has the talent. He's
got
mobile.
talent.
He's got
Ingram.
intelligence. He could read.
He's got Galladay. He's got Kadarius Toney.
This is not a dispute. I'm just saying.
Saquon Barkley.
It's only his third year in the league. We talked about Saquon. We're not going to cover that again.
Okay. Because his play is speaks for itself.
Yep. So listen, the NFL is, we're just past the midpoint part of the season. So there's a lot that can happen, but
I don't think a lot can happen. I think that the teams that are, the contenders have all
the Chiefs
stepped up.
The Chiefs have started to turn it around. And,
I mean, the best game to me this weekend or Monday night is the Patriots going to Buffalo.
It is a big game.
That's a great
and
game.
we got a lot of fans out in the Syracuse area and Buffalo.
And if we're
area.
going to do our picks, which I know we do very soon,
we
take 2 games of the NFL a week.
Yep.
I'm all in on Buffalo at Monday night at home.
Absolutely, I agree.
And
I really like Mac Jones and what they're doing, but Buffalo needs this game big time.
No question. So I'm definitely taking Buffalo at home.
All right. So our 2 picks for the week, I'll give you my 2 picks. The Philadelphia is at the New York Jets, and I like Philadelphia to bounce back. I think the performance they had against the Giants was not good. Let's put it that way. But I think the Jets are still swallowing in mediocrity, so I don't see that happening.
The Jets are a disaster.
And my second game is Baltimore's at Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. I'm not really sold on Baltimore right now. And
you like Pittsburgh coming off of 41 to 3 beatdown by the Bengals?
I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan.
Too.
I think they'll bounce back, and I think that's my upset.
All right.
Give me your 2 picks.
I just told you I'll take Buffalo at home. And I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins at home against the Giants. No Daniel Jones, Mike Glennon. Miami.
Mike Glennon.
Miami is now 6-7. I think they were 1-7?
They're horrible.
They
Miami.
were 1-7. They're now 6-7.
I don't know if they were 1-7.
They were.
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, they were.
I just don't see Tua being the quarterback.
I think Tua has played well the last few weeks.
We have a comment. First of all, our guy Kurt, who's a part of the family and the high school show, says hello.
Hey, Kurt.
You guys will be talking soon.
Thanks, Kurt.
The high school stuff we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right.
We have another comment here from a Facebook user. Daniel Jones is 12-26 as Giants starting.
I understand that.
And this is New York.
But there's been a lot of weak spots around him. Give this kid time. When you're a quarterback in this league, you get 2 or 3 years before you can make something happen. And the Giants just haven't been supporting them. I'm sorry.
And for the 800th time, I'm not paying Daniel Jones $35 to $40 million to be my starting quarterback.
Okay. Well, it's the same predicament the Browns have to face. Are you going to pay Baker Mayfield that kind of money?
That's the Browns' problem, but that's a tough call.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield, he's hurt. I'll give him that.
He's beat up.
But
I'll give him that.
You know what? I gotta say, when you got guys like Joe Burrow now, and Herbert, for example.
Yeah, these are the young guns.
Yeah,
These are
but
the
they're
guys.
only a year or two younger than Mayfield. I don't. I think if I'm the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, I'm moving on.
So would you take Jones or Baker Mayfield as your quarterback? I mean,
Listen, if the quarterback derby and the wheel stops, and I got one of those two,
you would take Baker Mayfield.
I will
know
take
that.
him, but not for $35 million.
But you
I'll
brought
give
this,
I'll give you. Listen, I'll give you 20.
Steve.
I'll
You
give
brought this
25.
up time and time again. That's what these guys are getting right now.
The premier guy.
I wouldn't have given Dak Prescott $40 million because what has he done so far? That's the kind of predicament you're in with quarterbacks.
Listen,
in the
this
league.
is a team by team basis. Dak Prescott, they had to pay him that money.
Yeah.
I'm a Dak guy. I really am. And I've had this argument time and time again with just about every anti-Cowboy fan. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. He's probably 7-8 right now. Okay?
Okay, but there's only 30 teams in the league. I mean, 10 is
He's the
top
quarterback
third.
of the Dallas Cowboys, the most valued franchise in all of sports.
I got it.
Okay? So
I
40
like
million.
Prescott. Don't get me wrong, but
He's a leader, character guy.
if you're going to pay him $40 million, then Jones gets $25 million. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Another quick comment. I guess you were talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Someone posted that Dolphins did start the season 1-7,
Yep.
and I think are markedly improved.
Yeah, they're 6-7.
Their defense is playing very
They
well.
are, and Miami is home. I don't see any reason why they don't beat the Giants and continue on.
I just don't
Are they
think-
going to make the playoffs?
But Tua is
I don't
not
know.
that guy that can bring this team to that next level. I'm sorry.
I-
It
I-
looks like he's injured. It doesn't look like he can throw the ball 50 yards.
Granted, Tua doesn't look like have this rocket arm.
No, he doesn't.
I'll grant you that. But I think with Tua, the sample size is too small right now. Okay, so
well,
like we got to see more.
We'll say
Like Mayfield, we've seen enough. Jones is in his third year. 12. What was it? 12 and 26.
Yep.
That's a pretty good sample size. It's getting there.
but he's played 10 times better than he did his first two seasons, which
We
shows
haven't even
development,
brought up the
you know.
fumble. I mean, yes,
That's over, though.
But back to Jones, yes, the Giants are a mess, but Daniel Jones is responsible for an awful lot of turnovers on his own.
I got it. I
Just
get
saying.
that. He could fix that problem, and he's working on it. I think
Okay.
he's having a good year.
Oh, is that what he's doing as he's rehabbing the neck? He's working on the fumbles on the couch.
He hasn't fumbled this year like he did in his first two seasons. Come on, give
Not-
the guy a break.
Not to the fever pitch that
All
he
right.
did.
Let's move on to Major League Baseball
Let's do.
because there was a lot. Obviously, the lockout is the big news, but before that happened,
Well, we said it was going to happen, and it's
we
not.
knew it was going to
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, it's not a bold prediction. I think every sports guy knew.
But before the clock struck 11:59 on December 1st, right? The Mets went out, and like you said, Steve Cohen opened up his checkbook and gave it to Max Scherzer and said, "Write your own check." you
Yeah.
know?
Hey, listen, I said I think last week or the week before, I didn't think Scherzer was going to New York, but when you're being offered $40 million a year and you're
Yep.
37,
Yep.
and
And we love Max Scherzer, by the way.
we do.
He's
So
going
one,
to the Hall of
the
Fame.
one
no
red flag
question.
for me with Max is the Dodgers used him in the playoffs, and he couldn't come back as quick as he needed to. Why? Because there was some soreness. He's 37. There's a lot of miles on that arm, but I think it's a great move.
If the Mets can get one,
Come
two
on, you got
good
it. You
years
got
out,
a DeGrom, Max Scherzer 1-2 punch.
it's hard to beat.
That's pretty good.
That's the best line.
And they did a good job getting rid of Stroman. Go to the Cubs.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
But a lot of other things with this money, these guys. Simeon, he's going to the Rangers. He got that kind of money. I'm not sure why the Yankees didn't even.
It reminded me of Tom Hicks, the former owner of the Rangers, giving A-Rod that $252 million, I think, at the time. So
Right.
ridiculous.
So it's
But
all about the money.
combined with,
you know?
with Corey Seager and Simeon, that's a lot.
I got to bring
a
this
lot of
up.
money.
I'm glad you brought that up because this Corey Seager thing just blows my mind. 10 years, $325 million for Corey Seager. If you look at his numbers, he's a good ball player. but he's not $32 million a year for 10 years. I'm sorry.
Well, he's going to be the Texas Rangers shortstop for 10 years.
And again, I bring up, why didn't the Yankees even have a conversation with these guys? I mean, that must mean they're going to sign Correa when this lockout is over.
I've been giving this a lot of thought. The Yankees have two prospects in the system. There's Oswaldo Perez, I believe his name is,
Okay.
and Anthony Volpe. Okay, they're about 2 years away.
But you can't count on these guys.
Listen, I can't fault the Yankees right now for not putting the chips in on Correa and signing a guy for 7 years for that 300, and now you're stunting these two's paths.
But if Corey Seager's getting that kind of money, what are the Yankees going to have to pay Carlos Correa?
Well, the big Yankee news for me, which made me almost throw up on Tuesday night after 8:00, was that they tendered Gary Sanchez.
They had no choice.
They had plenty of choice.
No,
Bye-bye, Gary.
And who was going to be the catcher for the Yankees?
I don't care. It could be
no.
Hiyoshoka for a year. Listen, the pitchers last year all wanted to throw to Mr. Kyle. Okay, catching is not what it used to be. It's not Johnny Bench back there anymore. It's just not.
I understand
it's not.
But they had no choice. They weren't talking to anybody. The Yankees aren't talking to anybody
I think a predominant majority of Yankee fans have seen enough of Gary Sanchez. Bye-bye.
But let's talk real quick before we move on with the Mets and Cohen, right? They signed Starling Marte.
Good signing.
Okay, but not a great player. Gave him a lot of money.
That's a good sign.
Mark Cano or Kana, whatever. These are guys that I don't know that's going to change that franchise around like Max Scherzer could change it around, but they're throwing a lot of money out there, and there's still a lot of free agents around there.
I think the Mets made a good move. I think this Billy Epler is going to pan out.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, he made his bones under Cashman. Was the Angels general manager for about 3-4 years.
I like him.
Artie Moreno, Angels owner, is he's a meddlesome guy, if you will. But Brad Ausmus was his manager after Socha packed it in. I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Ausmus becomes the Mets' next manager.
Yeah, that job's still open.
I'm hearing Buck Shaw. It could be anybody, obviously. But if I gotta, throw a couple dollars down in Vegas, I would lean towards Brad Ausmus being the Mets manager.
Right, but as far as Major League Baseball goes, things are kind of shut down for the next few months. But like I said, the Yankees still got to be a little bit more aggressive in talking to some of these guys. Because if they
all shut down now.
But if they go to bat with the lineup they had last year, it's going to be another frustrating season for the Yankees.
Yeah. Listen, the chapter's not over.
Yep.
Once the gates are opened again, the Yankees will make moves, obviously. They have to.
We'll see.
But you got guys out there like Freddie Freeman is still out there.
Yeah,
There's still, Correa's out there. Listen, I want the Yankees, all kidding aside, I want this Matt Olson from the A's. I'll trade for him. Take anybody you want, basically. Outside of DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, but we all thought that about we got to get Joey Gallo. Now I wouldn't give you 50 cents for Joey Gallo.
But look at Matt Olson. He's 27 years old. He had 114 RBIs and 39 homers.
Yep.
Plays first base. That's the type of guy I want. If we can't make the trade for him, I'll re-sign Anthony Rizzo at age 32 for 3-4 years.
I like Rizzo. But I'd let Gallo go.
But I can also see Rizzo maybe going to Boston. And Boston, under the radar move a couple of nights ago. I don't know if you saw that.
Got Jackie Bradley Jr. back. Right?
And you know why they got him back? Because he's a Cora guy.
But Hunter Renfroe had a pretty good year for Boston. I was surprised by that trade, to be quite honest.
I think that's a good move by Boston. I think Cora wanted Jackie Bradley back, and I think Jackie Bradley wanted to be back in Boston, and that's only going to help them.
So listen, lockout underway. So baseball takes a back seat to everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And our Major League Baseball segment was sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael Lynch.
Who has been a great sponsor of the show since day one, and we thank them very much.
Yep.
National Basketball Association. Let's talk about that. Let's move on to the hardwood, as they say.
I think the leading story has been the Phoenix Suns. They got up to 18 straight wins.
They did, and they actually lost to Golden State last night.
Right,
but
18 in a row. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, no doubt.
Good.
But Booker didn't play last night. But
Curry would have none of this to go 19.
you know what? And
he's going to win the MVP.
This is one of the biggest, no question about that. He's one of the premier eminent shooters that we've ever seen.
No, he's the best shooter.
But when you look at the Golden State Warriors, how are they winning? Their starting lineup. I mean, and they don't have Klay Thompson back yet. You know, all they have is Steph Curry and Draymond Green from the team that was dominant 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's very surprising.
Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins?
Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I know, but you look at their starting lineup.
They had a top 5 draft pick. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Golden State has another top pick coming up for the next trip.
Yep.
Klay Thompson's going to be back.
He is coming.
He's already
back.
practicing.
It's coming.
There's no
back.
need to rush him back.
But I'm just saying, it's
maybe
very
February or
surprising,
something.
you know, to me that Golden State, you know, they're this powerhouse this kind of time of the season.
Their record is quite good.
And you're right, but I got it. Like I said, you brought it up as far as the Phoenix Suns. This Devin Booker, he's a player.
Oh,
you know, I don't know his ties to the Kardashians, which gives me a very little hope.
It's just pause. It's just pause.
But he's a good ball player. You know?
I mean, the one tie for NBA to me, the all-time, is Lamar Odom.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Yeah, can't miss, right? But how about your New York Knicks? Listen, everybody in New York before the season started said, "Oh, this is the team to beat." In the watch out, Giannis. And I go, wait a minute. You're putting your chips in Julius Randle. I mean, Fournier, he's been an improvement for the team, but
not at $78 million. He hasn't.
Right, but my point is, you know, the Knicks started off like 7-3, and now they're 500, and you know now they're calling for Thibodeau's head.
No, they're not calling for Thibodeau's head at all. Listen, Leon Rose, I think
Kemba Walker, right? He benches him, that kind of thing.
Well, Leon Rose wanted Kemba Walker. I don't think Tibbs wanted Kemba Walker.
Okay, but
Tibbs wanted Reggie Bullock back as a stalwart defender, and Reggie Bullock certainly wasn't going to cost what Evan Fournier is costing.
He's a good
now
shooter,
listen,
good shooter.
Okay, he's a perimeter shooter.
Yeah.
But Tibbs wants, grinders, okay? Now listen, Kemba Walker, I wasn't on board with it because listen, he's been damaged goods. We all know that for the last 2 years. Great player, good guy.
Well, they thought
New York City, born, raised,
that was
good
the feel-good
story.
story about it.
But Tibbs saw everything he needed to see, and now he's sitting, and he's done. He's done.
But listen,
it's still early enough that the Knicks can still make some moves, right? Whether it's a month or two down the road.
Yep.
I think they turn it around, but don't be surprised if they trade like an RJ Barrett or somebody because, they got to do something.
And I've told you, I know you're an
RJ
Barrett
guy,
fan,
but he's been not playing well of late.
But here, I'm not ready to eat crow yet. But the Lakers, I don't know, man. There's a lot of holes. This LeBron James is not the player that he once was. He misses a lot of games. But I'm a little surprised. I had them preseason going to play the Nets in the final for sure.
Yeah.
Now I'm going. I'm not so sure. I'm willing to take a half step back.
Well, here on December 4th, I mean, Phoenix or the Lakers.
The king is
again. Father Time gets us all.
Exactly.
Right? LeBron James.
The king is being dethroned as before.
To me, LeBron
eyes,
James is the second greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
Let's see. Let me guess. Michael Jordan, maybe the one you're thinking
Michael
of.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Quick comment: Knicks losing 101 to 76 to Denver.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Right when we went to air, I think they were down 10. But I'm not surprised. Things are not good at the Garden.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity in the NBA right now, except for this game the other night. This is shocking.
Oh, that's right.
Memphis beats Oklahoma City by 73 points.
Yeah.
Now, you could have taken St. Mary's School for the Blind girls basketball team and put them up against an NBA team, and it would be hard to lose by 73 points. That's unbelievable.
I got to work, got to my desk, whatever, did my, do what I do with my day job.
Yep.
And then when I had my break, I go to ESPN. And I'm looking at this, and I said, am I reading this right? 73 in the NBA, professional basketball?
The all-time record in the 75
The
years
all-time ass-kicking in NBA history.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And it's startling.
Yep.
It's startling. 73 points. That's Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals.
Very good.
Right?
Very good analogy, actually. Surprised I didn't think of that.
Well, you know.
Anyway, so let's move off the NBA because the NHL is starting to heat up.
Let's go, Rangers.
Rangers are looking really good. They beat San Jose 1-0 last night in a great game.
Yeah.
But every morning I wake up, I see, how did Alex Ovechkin do? Because I know you're all on board that he's going to break Gretzky record, and I said I don't think so. But he's got 19 goals this year. He's lighting
Not breaking it this year.
No, he needs at least 3 more years, and I don't know that he has 3 more
So you can
years.
wake up every morning, okay, because the goal total is going to increase.
Yeah.
And again, folks, Wayne Gretzky said, I don't know, maybe a month ago,
He wants him to break the record.
he knows he's going to break the record. But folks, like I
think
said,
he knows he's not going to break the record.
he's breaking the goal record.
Steve, he needs 150 more goals in the next 3 years.
And my point is that only leaves Wayne Gretzky with 243 other NHL records.
Okay. But listen, on the New York side of things, the Islanders are struggling a little bit, but you got Barry Trotz and you got Lou Lamoriello, so don't count them out yet.
And their new building looks spectacular.
But I wanted to give a shout out to the Rangers goalie, this Igor Shesterkin.
Igor Shesterkin.
And he's slowly becoming and making Ranger fans forget about King Henrik because he's that good.
I forgot about King Henrik years ago.
And he's really proven himself to be a dominant.
He had a slight little knee injury last night, so they'll probably take it easy with him. But yeah, Shesterkin has been outstanding. The Rangers are winning games, close games.
Yep. McDavid scoring, Draisaitl is scoring a lot of points. It's great. I love hockey. We're a quarter of the way through the season, but long way to go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. I love it too. We're big Ranger fans here, folks.
Yeah, I guess you can get that. One quick thing, an ex-Ranger, this Brendan Lemieux story. I mean, he gets 5-game suspension for biting some guy.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really what an NHL roughhouser guy is doing, biting somebody?
He bit his hand in the fight, Mr. Squirrel.
Oh, God, it was horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
But my favorite thing of the week was Artemi Panarin throwing his glove at Marchand.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Because, Marchand was having a field day with him, breaking his ball. So,
yeah.
And folks, I hate Todd Marchand like you wouldn't believe.
But he's really, really
But
good.
as much as I hate him, yes. This
really
guy,
good.
this guy's a good hockey.
Every time I watch the Boston Bruins, I go, these guys look impossible to beat. Yet I would have thought they were going to make a better run at the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but like
And I think
Marchand and Patrice Bergeron, Patrice Bergeron seems like he's been in the league for 27 years.
Outstanding
Something
players.
like that.
Outstanding players.
Yeah.
So listen, NHL, NBA, it's all underway. Let's move on to our segment, Steve, to some random points of interest.
We could do that. We could do that.
Got to give a shout out to, and I put that in parentheses, Michael Strahan's number 92 was officially retired.
Boo!
He was a good player, but to not have his number ever worn again in Giants lore is outrageous to me. But listen, he's going to the moon. We're not. So
I hope he goes past the moon and keeps going.
his agent is the best in the business. I got to give you that.
Actually, his agent is a part of our company.
We love Michael Strahan here at Blackjack.
We'd love to have Michael on the show next week.
We were just kidding, Michael.
Anyway, so another quick random point, Dan Hampton, right?
Yeah.
One of our does not belong in the Hall of Fame
Yes.
guy.
Poster boys.
Poster boy with the Howie Longs and the Warren Sapps.
Right.
Unfortunately, again, indiscretion, DUI, further tarnishing his image. But that's unfortunate.
How does that tarnish his image? He's still Dan Hampton, member of the Chicago Bears 1985. Ditka.
I know, but he's
The
got
Bears.
a Hall of Fame jacket, which he doesn't deserve.
I understand.
So listen.
But how'd you like to be that cop pulling Dan Hampton off when he gets out of the car?
Officer Crumpy.
Easy, Mr. Hampton. Easy.
Listen, let's move real quick through our random points. The the Brooks Bryson match.
Yes, Brooks,
That was one of my couldn't care less kind of things. But
right up there.
Exactly.
Thank God Brooks won.
But boy, you could tell his disdain for Bryson DeChambeau just by looking at his face.
Yeah.
Even mentioning his name drives him crazy.
Folks, can you see my disdain for Bryson DeChambeau?
Yeah. And listen, a couple other quick things. So the shocking thing, this high school basketball game. These guys, the game's over. They do the handshake line.
Right.
He sandbags this guy, drops him. I'm like, you don't think people are videotaping this? Like, you couldn't wait till the keg party after the game? Shocking.
Guy couldn't help himself.
Guy should be banned.
Boy,
he must have hated that.
You
Moose.
think that was premeditated at all?
Arthur, that Moose. He must have hated that Moose.
That's right. Arthur, the movie reference.
Absolutely. Here's another funny thing: was the coach of the Arkansas Pine Bluff team calls timeout, makes his players run sprints during the timeout.
Now that's the kind of coach I want coaching.
That's a disciplinarian right there.
Yeah, I like.
Give the guy credit. It's never been done before.
I think that's great.
He made YouTube and he made sports with Mono and Mono.
I like that. No doubt.
Here's another thing. This Brent Musburger. And you and I have been watching Brent Musburger since we were 5 years old.
Yeah, 1970, 71, 72.
Right. And he was a professional in every sense of the word. And he was great in college football broadcasting.
He's got to be 85 years old.
But now he works for the casinos.
Yes, he does.
And he works for the Raiders.
Yes.
So he comes out with this, 80-year-old tirade that, he's 80 years old, comes out with a tirade that John Gruden was shot by a paid assassin. I mean, is this not Raiders in Las Vegas written all over it to even bring this up? And the fact that it even made the news, he's insane.
Yeah,
he's insane.
Makes the news. You think anybody is taking him at face value?
Listen, no, he's got quite a
I just find
audience,
that entertainment. I'll listen to that rant.
I did listen to it.
It's pure comedy.
Yep. Couple other quick things. We talked about this young fella who came out of high school early to go to Ohio State, Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Transfer portal today. And he already signed one of those nil contracts, right?
Name like this image.
Name like this image, which we talked about was good for everybody, but he knows he's not going to even see the field as long as CJ Stroud is there, right? But how about that? Now in college football, you can transfer at will.
Yeah.
Didn't even take a snap and transfer.
Hey, listen, we started the show with these coaches getting up in the middle of the night and splitting. I have no problem with a kid trying to get a better opportunity.
No question. We supported that from day one.
And the teams that do well are like Alabama and the Georgias, where they're getting, top.
Bryce Young got just every bit of that kind of money to be a spokesman for somebody.
There's only a handful of schools that are doing it right and getting really creme de la creme guys to fit in, a backer on defense or whatever the case may be, whatever their need is.
Yep.
If you do it right, you can clean up.
Yep.
And Alabama's been doing it, in Georgia, really, I think, are the two best at it.
You're right. And I wanted to bring up our final random point was the Bergen Catholic Crusaders.
Yeah.
Steve and I, make no bones about it, we're St. Joe's alumni. Steve starting quarterback for 3 years. But this year, Bergen Catholic was a powerhouse. They're like number 5 in the country.
Yeah, well-deserved.
And we talked to one of my friends, Steve Caravello, who lives out in California, very big in high school football, and said, these guys, I watched them beat Don Bosco in Giant Stadium last week, and they looked really good. They got probably, I'm going to say, at least 10 Division I guys going to USC, this, that, and the other thing. What a team. I actually saw them play. I watched them play against St. Joe's this year. And, Rob, our producer, actually was, been pretty much at most Bergen Catholic games.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But what a football team. They,
Actually have somebody going to Notre Dame, too.
Yeah, the quarterback.
No, the D-back.
Yeah,
and the quarterback.
Steve Agnelli.
Is he?
Yeah.
Steve Angeli's Notre Dame commit.
He's not a quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See.
But what a team. What a powerhouse team. It's one of those undefeated seasons that you say, wow, You don't get to see this very often. And listen, it's very hard for me. I'm almost choking talking about it. Bergen Catholic, what a powerhouse football
Yeah,
team.
and you got to, we're going to tip our hat to Vito Campanelli. So, Vito took over for Nunzio.
Yep.
Nunzio got his ring. Vito, I think this is his 4th year there now.
Yep.
He's come close. He's had good teams, but this was his team that's been built. And congratulations to Vito. Now, DePaul, I got a dear friend of mine, Al Natoli's on the DePaul staff. And, Campanelli, when you think high school football in North Jersey. So Nick Campanelli is the head coach for DePaul. And Nick is in his 2nd year, I think. And Nick's getting his title. They came up short. They lost to Red Bank Catholic in the final.
Yep.
Close game. I think it was 13-7, something like that. But, congratulations, Vito Campanelli. And
we've talked about
congratulations, Nick, to getting to the final. But
the
DePaul will get there.
And the high school talent in northern New Jersey is, and Steve Caravello from California will actually agree with us, saying that there is unbelievable talent in the Northeast. It's great.
And Rob mentioned Kurt, right? And who does high school sports, and Kurt, really looking forward to meeting you. Was equally as passionate about it.
Yep.
And can't wait to meet and discuss it and get you on our show and hopefully get on your show, that type of thing.
One of the games, but New Jersey high school football has been great. And we missed last year due to the pandemic and so forth. So,
and then just real quick on a random point of interest, why is this helmet here? Well, we grew up in Oakland, New Jersey, and we're broadcasting from Oakland. And this is I was a coach in town. I played in town. Jim played in town. This is the Oakland Braves town football helmet, but Indian Hills is in Oakland, and it's kind of similar. The color's the same. The Braves, Oakland Braves logos are kind of the same.
Old Redskins logo kind of. It's like
that. If anybody was questioning, what is that helmet, and it represents Oakland, where we grew up, and wanted to bring that up.
Very good. So listen, we move on to our notable passing segment, and I want to start it off with former NFL Hall of Famer Curly Culp.
Curly Culp
and
Kansas City Chiefs.
He won a
Houston
Super Bowl.
Too.
I remember him more with the Oilers than I do with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I remember with the Chiefs.
Right? When they beat the Vikings and Joe Kapp in the Super Bowl that season. That was Hank Stram.
Buck Buchanan.
Yep.
And,
but Curly Culp,
Lanier,
classy guy. I had no problem when he was up for Hall of Fame, But I remember him playing with the Houston Oilers and Earl Campbell at the end of his career.
Yeah.
75 years old.
R.I.P. Curly Culp. Well done.
And listen, obviously a notable passing for sure is Lee Elder.
Yeah.
Just a PGA Tour legend. And, one of our fans, Mike Garvey, sent me a thing. He goes, I remember watching Lee Elder in 1975. And he goes, wow, he's a good golfer. And I said, what does that mean? He goes, it wasn't about whether Lee Elder was the first black guy to make the Masters. He was a golfer. And we see things differently. That was such a great point.
Yeah.
And Lee Elder, listen, had right up until last year was the honorary, teeing off at the Masters with Gary Player and Jack Nicholson.
He was in failing health. He couldn't swing a golf club. But for Lee Elder,
he was a class act.
To take part in that ceremony before he passed.
And I think he was.
You can't ask for anything better.
Yep.
And if you read his story, he really couldn't make a living as
playing
a golfer.
golf.
He really couldn't.
Yep.
But he persevered. He loved the game, and like you said, he was the first African American to play in the Masters in '87. Lee Elder.
But he was a class act and it represented sports and golf, and
no question about it.
Would be remiss if we didn't bring it up.
R.I.P. Lee Elder.
How about another baseball guy, Lamar Hoyt, actually passed away.
Yes, he
Cy
did.
Young Award winner
1982, I believe.
83?
82 or 83.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Lamar Hoyt with the beard and
66, the old ugliest uniforms ever, Chicago White Sox.
Yeah. But he had a dominant year.
He had a couple of good years, but
Cy
he had
Young.
one dominant year, and it was
Cy. He won the Cy.
He did.
And Lamar Hoyt, we remember him, in our youth. if you will.
Not so much. We were kind of grown men at that point,
Yeah.
but he had that one year.
Late teens.
Yep, but he had a great year. He was 66 years old.
Yep. R.I.P. Lamar Hoyt.
Yep. And of course, before we possibly pass on notable passings, the big ragu, Eddie Mecca from Laverne and Shirley. Listen, we're sports, but we also recognize people that made an impact, and he was on the #1 show in television for years. Can't deny it.
Can't deny he was on that #1 show.
Young guy.
And that's it.
69.
Listen, entertain. I get it, But me and my friends are kind of breaking chops. That
the big ragu.
Right, that he was like Emmy, Oscar, Tony type of material.
I don't think he got the EGOT, but he was. Listen, he was on the #1 show. We wanted to bring it up. It's
Right.
pop culture history kind of.
And then just to wrap up again on Drew Gibbs, the people may or may not know that the game was played Ramapo Northern Highlands last Sunday.
We talked about.
Yeah, I know, but just a reminder. He's still on my mind. It's still fresh to me.
Yep.
Highlands 35-30 victory, and
he was a class.
I
act.
know, but I just wanted to.
But he got recognized by a lot of prominent people.
He most certainly
that
did.
certainly commends him for what he's done for New Jersey high school
So
football.
my only point is it's time to move on now. We've mourned,
Yep.
praised him, and Ramapo has to go on, and the community has to go on.
Yep.
Especially with high school football season ending now.
So listen, we're going to wrap up our first week, and again, a big shout out to our producer Rob.
Rob,
You're going to find this show on Blackjack TV going forward, and we look forward. We've been talking about this, Steve, for years. We want people to call in. We want comments.
Yep.
You could still send us an email at sports.
you can break our
mono at gmail.com, and we've gotten plenty of feedback from the show, but we're looking forward to our new venture with our partner Rob and Blackjack TV.
Yep.
So check us out, and then can't wait to have you on the show. And we look
And the
forward.
email again, or what's that, or where to find it with the link again?
on
Blackjack,
blackjacktv.net.
Yeah. right?
So please, and tell your friends. Like I said, we're going to be broadcasting live, and this is the beginning of a new
All right.
ventureship for the show.
Yeah.
And tell your friends, because we can't wait to get
and again,
the next week's show.
Yeah,
we love it.
Again, we're happy to be, ecstatic and honored to be now members of the Blackjack TV family.
Yep.
And we look forward to meeting, all the other show guys and everything. And, hopefully one big happy family. And, we enjoy, we love sports, and looking forward to meeting.
But thanks for joining
lot of
us,
people.
everybody, on this week's show. It's just, like I said, it's a landmark show for us, and Steve and I. We're just excited to be partnering with Rob and BlackjackTV.net. And
Then the show will still be, for our audience members, SoundCloud accessible,
Yep.
audio, and YouTube.
But the downside about doing the show, you got to see the mugs. I don't know. This is the best we got, but maybe the voice doesn't match the face. But what can I tell you?
If
Thanks
you
for
got
joining
problems with your mug, that's your business.
But thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up to you guys next week.
You got it. Thanks, everybody.